told her sister.
"Don't remind me,"
Gillian replied.
"You look like a monster and something red came out of your head."
What with one thing and another slowly piling on the coincidence wagon, it wasn't possible to look the other way and pretend that was nothing. Sorry, I'll try that again. And pretend that what was happening was normal. John Pollock began to wonder, could this be a true case of reincarnation? Despite his Christian faith, John strongly believed in reincarnation, which he had first read about in a novel when he was just about 9 years of age. But Florence did not believe it at all. It was also worth pointing out here that reincarnation is not part of the Catholic ideology. Soon after all these coincidences took place, American physicist and pioneering reincarnation researcher Dr. Ian Stevenson, 1918 to 2007, took a keen interest in the twin story. Dr. Ian Stevenson was a psychologist who studied reincarnation in children. In 1987, he wrote a book called Children Who Remember Previous Lives, A Question of Reincarnation. In his book, he had studied at least 14 cases of reincarnation, including that of the Pollock sisters. Stevenson said, and I quote, "I prefer working with children because reincarnated adults were more likely to be influenced by external and fantasy factors coming from books, movies, or even memories of their relatives that they incorporate as their own. Children, on the other hand, act spontaneously. There is nothing preconditioned in them." Unquote. Ian Stevenson investigated the case after learning about it through newspaper coverage in 1963. That same year, when the twins were 4 years old, he met the family at their home, interviewed the parents at length, and examined the girls for birthmarks. He met the family again in 1967 and corresponded with them continuously until visiting them again in 1978, when the twins were 20 years old. It was at that point he had blood tests arranged to determine their zygosity, which showed they were monozygotic, meaning identical twins. Stevenson also noted that since the twins were monozygotic, and therefore identical genetically, genetics cannot explain Jennifer's birthmarks and maternal impression, the psychic influence of the mother on an unborn child. It's unlikely to be the cause, as Florence did not believe in reincarnation herself, although he speculates about paternal impression as an alternative to reincarnation. However, as Stevenson states in his later work, he finds it inconceivable that John and Florence Pollock could mould the behaviours of their twin daughters so exactly as to match that of their deceased daughters. When the Pollock twins turned 5 years old, and from what I've researched, this seems to be a typical age at which reincarnation extends to, depending on two things, of course. One, what your belief system is, and two, what you read. Their lives were no longer tied to the dead sisters. After a short break, we will look at some of the coincidences and theories behind this bizarre case.
This show is brought to you by courtesy of Neil Packer and the Haunted Antiques Paranormal Research Centre. Find them online at www.hauntedresearchcentre.com or at 9 to 11 Regent Street, Hinckley, LE10 1AW. Open Saturdays from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. for guided tours of the haunted rooms at just £3 per person. Booking is essential at all times and over 18s only, unless accompanied by an adult. The haunted rooms are extremely haunted, and paranormal activity could, and has, taken place at any time. Some areas and particular objects or items can be quite scary and unnerving. The Gift and Craft Shop is open daily from Monday to Saturday, 9:30 a.m. to 4:30 p.m, selling a wide variety of paranormal items, books, magazines, merchandise stock and cats. Why not pay them a visit to pick up a gift with a difference? Membership is available for £25 to qualify for selective discounts. And why not download the app, available on iOS and Android for only $3.99, to keep up to date with what's coming up at the centre.
Fright Nights was established in 1999 and was the first company in the world to offer overnight ghost hunt experiences to the general public, pioneering paranormal events since the last century. Now, over 23 years old, hundreds of ghost hunts join Fright Nights every month for the most thrilling ghost hunting experience worth remembering. If you have never been on a ghost hunt before, then why not join them on an event to see what it's all about? Fright Nights currently operate at hundreds of the UK's most haunted and exclusive venues with their teams of experienced paranormal investigators, mediums and psychics. You are guaranteed a quality night of ghost hunting unequalled by any other company. They have a VIP members club for regular returning guests, offering discounts and exclusive event invitations. And they can host private events for you and your friends, clubs or work colleagues. They have also expanded their new Friends of Fright Nights pages with many more new things to come. So why not book early with a small deposit so you don't miss out? The balance is due 28 days prior to the event. Contact them on 07852 998 628 or email at frightnightsevents@gmail.com. That's frightnightsevents@gmail.com. Or why not visit their website www.frightnights.co.uk, where you can see the many locations they investigate and learn a lot more about them and the opportunities they have available. You can also visit their many social media sites for up-to-date information on all the places they have been to and what's coming up in the future. They look forward to seeing you soon. Fright Nights Ghost Hunting Events. Remember, only the original will do.
Okay, so let's look at some of the theories. Personally, I think it is more than possible that the parents have continually planted the memories in the minds of Gillian and Jennifer, either consciously or subconsciously. I also think it is more than plausible that they mentioned their late daughters in passing. For example, we used to take Jacqueline to this park, or that was Jacqueline's favourite toy, you know, that sort of thing. I do believe kids are far more in tune with what's going on around them than we give them credit for. As I said earlier, it's definitely plausible that the parents passed their late sister's tastes and habits on from their comments and remarks. However, this does not explain the scar and birthmark on Jennifer that matched up with those of her late sisters. And to be honest, although I can't see anything online, there isn't really anything else that ties Gillian, the twin, to Joanna, the first daughter, that's any significance. So I suppose it is possible that only Jennifer was reincarnated. as she was the only one who had the concrete markings tying her to her late sister, and it could be possible that Jennifer had certain memories of her past life as Jacqueline and passed those memories on to Gillian through general conversation or everyday play. From what I can find regarding this case, it is impossible to know for sure if it really is a case of reincarnation. But I want to believe this story. I really do. As most people who know me know just how much into the paranormal and unexplained I am. But without any real solid evidence for reincarnation, it is still a grey area. And any skeptic would say that the birthmarks on Jennifer could just be put down to sheer coincidence. The implications of it are so just out there. Depending on your point of view, of course, this story could not only indicate that it's possible for our souls, essences, past lives, or whatever you want to call it, live more than once, but also that souls are possibly drawn to those they are connected to. Again, depending on your point of view. Is it really possible that both twins were reincarnated, not just into the same family, but to the same parents? We will probably never really know for sure. Sadly, Florence Pollock died in 1979. Ian Stevenson visited John, who remarried, and his new wife, as well as Gillian in 1982, and continued to correspond with John until his death in 1985. Stephen wrote a detailed case report in his second volume of his book, Reincarnation and Biology, a contribution to the etiology of birthmarks and birth defects, i.e. the cause of origin of disease. He has also summarised versions of his findings in other works. As the twins grew older, they pretty much forgot about their past lives, which is quite normal. During their early years, the twins' father, John Pollock, decided to refrain from referring to the girls' statements about what they remembered, nor did he discuss with them his belief in reincarnation, which they didn't learn about until the age of 13, so the twins went to live relatively normal lives. When Stevenson met them again, when they were in their 20s, they said they remembered nothing about their past lives. They accepted their parents' belief that they were their elder sister's reincarnated bodies, while at the same time showing mild scepticism about reincarnation in general. Then suddenly, in 1981, Gillian experienced some inner visions, in which she saw herself playing in a sandpit in her brother's. She described the house, garden and lawns perfectly, even the orchards that matched the house the family had lived in when they were in Wickham, at which time Joanna had been younger than 4 years old. However, Gillian had never been to Wickham. The Pollock case is one of several cases discussed by British writer Ian Wilson. In a broadly sceptical critique, he notes that the case is evidently weak in that the only witnesses to the statements and behavioural signs are the parents, one of whom fervently believed in reincarnation. Also, since the two pairs of daughters had the same parents, knowledge of the older sisters might have been available to the twins through normal means. And Mr. Richard Rockley, who writes for the website Skeptic Report, suggests that John Pollock, since he believed so strongly in reincarnation, most likely talked about his notion that the twins are reincarnations to their sisters in their presence. Also, that the other family members and friends might have talked about the accident and their deaths. Mr. Rockley also suggests that the parents could also be reading too much into the twins' statements, or in fact could even be lying. As Wilson notes, however, birthmarks that match past life birthmarks, scars or wounds, which none of Rockley's theories could explain, are found not only in the Pollock case, but in a substantial proportion of other reincarnation cases.